Welcome to the yoga class one more time, and we will be focusing today on building some connection to the deep core muscles, and we'll be finding how we can use them in the basic yoga asanas, how it helps us to maintain the alignment that help us in the functional movements of the mat. And to do so, we will be using the light resistance band. If you not having the band, you definitely can practice without, or use the strap in some of their position. And we are starting the practice in supine position on the back. You're welcome to have your knees bent, placing your feet comfortably on the floor to adjust the pelvis position in a neutral. That means you have a little bit of a space between the waist area and the mat, but it's not too big, so you're not extending here. So trying to adjust the pelvis that you feel like the triangle bone on the base of the spine. Sacrum is planted on the mat. And here we'll spend a minute or two just breathing, and with a breath we are activating the diaphragmatic movement. So with inhale, the diaphragm expands, and you might notice how this expansion slightly pulling their lower back off the floor. You might feel, some of you at least, might feel a little bit of extension of the lower back. And as you exhale and relax, you might notice how the lower back is collapsing down toward the mat. So just continue with the comfortable pace when you inhaling in full capacity of your lungs, but not over inhaling. And as you exhale, you would like to exhale all the air, but without holding the breath. Probably you will find that if you're counting the length of inhale, the counts less than the counts on exhale. Exhale is sometimes twice longer if you're counting, but at least like 1.5, at least one count longer than the counts of inhalation. And just allow yourself to admit with this breathing, with this supine position, your presence on the mat and start the practice. From here, we'll start introducing some movements in the pelvis while you still having your balanced breathing. So without lifting the hips, with inhale, go into the posterior tilt, lifting the pubic bone off the floor, engaging a little bit of the glutes and lower abdomen to get your lower back flat on the floor, and then exhale, return back to neutral. So you're finding that the pelvis is moving a little bit. So inhale again without lifting the hips, just engage the glutes, lift the pubic bone, just scoop the tailbone off the floor, and then exhale, return back to neutral. I'm going to go for one more time. Inhale, we'll lift the pubic bone without lifting the hips, so the lower back is still touching the floor, flat, and then exhale, come to neutral. So for the next one, I would like you to make sure that your heels are not too far from your hips. So if you are more than the distance is higher from the hips, more the hamstrings will turn on, while we want to work on the glutes. So it's not too close. Its heels ideally is under the knees. And our next inhale, we're going to start with the pubic bone lift, and then you continue with the hips and coming to the bridge, but not overextending the mid back. You come into neutral. Your arms are on the sides, and as you hold, think of pressing your knees away from you and feel our work for the glutes with a neutral position for the hip flexor. So you're not hinged here in the hip flexor. And then slowly come down, exhale. So make sure heels are under the knees, and on inhale, lift your hips off the floor, maintain a neutral position so you feel like your hip flexors here are fully open and the glutes are doing the work. Not so much. You still can feel your hamstring, but it's mostly glutes here. And then exhale, come all the way down. Release. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, lift the hips off the floor. So activating the glutes with a neutral position here. Not much of extension of the lower back. And exhale, come down. Then we can bring our knees a little bit closer to the chest. Maybe a little bit of a stretch for the glutes. Maybe rock from side to side. And let's get into the dead back position for the legs. So get your knees now over the hips. Bend your knees and have your heels aligned with the knees. Check that your knees are not collapsing to your chest. You maintain a neutral spine, so there's a little bit of a space here in the waist area, and take your arms up toward the ceiling. And let's hold the dead back for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's release. Bring your feet down. So maybe adjust the pelvis, maybe rock from side to side. We'll have 2 sets of holds today here. So a static hold, so maintain the neutral spine. Lift your heels, bend your knees, take your arms up, ground your shoulder blades. Get your breath back to normal. So make sure you're not holding the breath when you're becoming tight. And let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's rest. Exhale. So you start feeling a little bit of a burning in the front of the body, but here most work done by hip flexors, the deep core muscles. So just the erectus abdominis just assisting here the work of the hip flexors. So one more time, bend your knees. Knees are above the hips. So when you're tired, make sure that you're not lifting the tailbone off the floor. You're still maintaining neutral, arms up, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's release again. If you feel you would like to rock your knees from side to side, welcome to do so. And then let us take the strap or band that we prepared, and we will bring the band around your feet. So for this one, you might want to watch me for the first set. So when you lift your legs, you extend your arms and then just catch. You don't need to stretch the band. You don't need to bend your elbows much. It's just a very lightly soft bend. And now from here, when you hold in your legs, we'll start with the lifting the head off the floor, and then we start going into whole hold. So we start lowering the legs, and because we're holding the legs with the strap, we are able to lift the torso off the floor. So when you get with the legs into position where you feel like you're creating this whole hold, you'll continue to lift your torso, and we come into seated completely. And then we're going to go back. We bring the chin down to the floor, and we start lowering vertebra by vertebra, the torso down to the floor, lifting the legs into whole hold. And then we're going to continue with lifting the legs and then bring the head. So we're going to rock like that, okay? So idea is to create the whole hold, and hold is as low with your legs, as low with your head, but all the time pressing the chin down to the floor. So let's try together. So get your legs up, hold the band, and start with the lifting the head off the floor. So here, you feel like the lower back is flat and rounded on the floor. And start lowering the legs, so you feel a little bit of resistance. So the band is helping you to control that. And you're lowering the legs, and lowering the legs. On some point, you start feeling you can lift your torso, look on your belly, lowering the legs, and then just roll into seating. Okay, everybody in the seating? And in the sitting, I want you to lengthen here. Now bring the chin down to the floor, round your spine, and start lowering from the spine. So go here, and then at some point you're lifting the legs, and you keep your whole hold, so flat lower back, and then just lift the legs and bring the head down to the floor. Rest here. We have 2 more rocks right like that. So bring the chin to the chest and start lifting your shoulder blades off the floor, and then start lowering the legs. Shoulder blades off the floor, you lower the legs, pulling the belly in, really rounded, and you coming up into seated position. Exhale. So make sure that you're not tensing your neck. You all the time keep the upper back rounded, except when you come straight here in seating. So bring the chin down to the floor and start lowering the spine, and then the legs comes off the floor. So here's your hold, the full version with assistance, and then lifting the legs and releasing the head. One more time. Chin to the chest and lower the legs, lower the legs, lower the legs, and then start lifting the torso off the floor and come up, reach up. Okay, last time, going down. So go with your spine down. So here is the whole hold. This is the whole hold with the lower legs and shoulder blades off the floor, and then just lift the legs all the way up. Exhale. So let us release the band. We're going to be using that, so keep it in front of the mat. Bring your knees to your chest. Rock from side to side. Massage the lower back. And then when you're ready, start rocking from the head to the hips a couple of times. So very similar to what we just did. So feel how you're rocking through the lower back, and then come into seated position. And when you come into seated position, we come into the child pose, and just to release the lower back, maybe some of you tense it without intention, so let us just release it. Bring the forehead down to the floor, lengthen through the spine, because we're going to go into the downward dog pretty soon, so that also helping you just to create a little bit of a traction in the upper back here. A little bit of a stretch for the glutes that we already activated as well. Take another exhale and then come into the tabletop position. So set your tabletop position. That is exactly upside down of the dead back. So you would like to maintain your neutral spine. So make sure you're not dropping the head and not tucking the table. So you're not a rounded spine. You're in a neutral position here. And then for this one, you might want to bring your knees a little bit closer and then extend your right leg and lift the right leg off the floor. So make sure the leg is not going high and you not collapsing with the rib cage down. Pull the leg into the hip socket, maintain a neutral position. When you're ready, bring the body weight to the right hand and take your left arm parallel to the floor. Hold here. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's return back. Reset your knees. Extend your left leg and lift the leg off the floor. Keep the foot flexed. Make sure you engage on the front of the body. So get engagement of the rectus abdominis, your lower abdomen. When you're ready, take your arm parallel to the floor. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. So from this tabletop position, I will just turn with my side, but you can be just facing the front. We'll bring the left hand align with the left knee, extend the right leg, and you need to be at least 2 foot with a left hand from the knee, so you have a space to move your left shoulder. So you're coming into side supported side plank on the knee, and then lift your right leg off the floor. So make sure the leg is aligned with the hip, and then take your right arm up. So what happened here, we love here to extend. So get your heel aligned with the hips. Don't take your heel back or don't hold your heel in front. Feel like you reach with the crown of the head to the left and with the tip of the fingers to the ceiling. Maintain neutral position of the mid section of the torso. Exhale. Let's build it on the other side. Bring the right hand. So make sure the right hand not in front of the knee, not behind of the knee. It should be aligned with the knee, and you immediately move in the right shoulder forward. Extend your left leg, flex the foot, lift the leg off the floor. So control your lower back. You don't want to be extended. You don't feel stretch on the hip flexors. Your glute here should work here to maintain this leg in a position. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's return back into the tabletop, facing the front of the mat. Tuck your toes, and let's come to the first downward dog. So set your feet hip distance. Find the distance that's working for you between the hands and the feet. Get your head between the arms, align your ears with the arms. Get your knees as bent as you need and send your tailbone up. So here you want to avoid the rounded back. You want to again maintain neutral spine. And then when you're ready, look forward and walk to the front of the mat. And just hang here for the moment, a little bit of the hamstring stretch, a little bit of a passive traction of the spine, and then very slowly roll up into standing position. Exhale. And just take a moment here. So make sure that the band is open so you can pick it up when we'll need it, and we'll need it very soon. Here, if you're not using the strap, if you're using strap instead of band, it's also fine. It's going to work for you. So let's come into standing position. And before we're going to work with a sun salutation to create a bigger movement, let us again get the pelvic movements. So in standing position, because we mostly stand, we don't do any movements on the floor. So get yourself, understand how you get your pelvis neutral, how you need to engage your glutes and lower abdomen to support the spine. So some of us have the tendency to be this way with a lot of extension on the lower back. So every time that we're going to talk about core strength, I want you to imagine that there is a strings that is really tight that connecting the lower rib to the hip bone. So everything is really tight on the front while the glutes engaged as well. And then from here you have your arms on the sides of the hips, your start of a mountain pose, your start of the sun salutation. With inhale, lift the arms overhead and make sure that you're not compensating any shoulder immobility with the lower back. Then from the hips, hinge into half fold, bring the hands on the shins, maintaining neutral spine again. So no extension and no flexion. Here is all neutral. Check how your body will distribute it. If you're not standing too much on the heels, that's what we love, even sometimes locking the knees. You should feel the hamstrings active here. And then just for the support, touch the floor, step your left foot back and pick up the band, lift yourself up. So first of all, finding the back leg supporting, and then take the band in front. And it doesn't need to be a tremendous stretch. Just stretch it a little bit, even bend the elbows a little bit. So use a bit of a biceps here. And as you're stretching, try to find that you are not just using your arms here, but you're also using a lot of a core strength to maintain the balance here. So when we're working with the upper body, when we're working with the arms, we need to be stable, and stability comes from this midsection. On exhale, bring the band down to the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. So again, because it's just the beginning of the practice, you might want to move your dog, might to pedal the heels, might add some hamstring stretch here. And then step the right foot closer to the midline and step the left foot forward into lunge. Pick up the band, the same position. So first ground yourself here, then keep the band in front of you and then stretch it a little bit. So feeling a little bit of a biceps, not so much of the chest, but a little bit of the biceps, and feel how you need to stabilize yourself from the midsection. Make sure you're not collapsing to the lower back. Those strings here that I talked earlier are really tight. On exhale, bring the band down to the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. On next inhale, flow into plank and then drop the knees immediately down to the floor. So coming into the half plank here. And in this half plank, I want you to get your tailbone under. So think of a whole hold that we just practiced. So you want to think of the belly pulled in, like you press it into the spine while you're pressing the floor and slightly rounding your upper back, so stabilizing your shoulders and maintaining this engagement of the glutes. And then from here, you just extend your legs. So basically you have your toes tucked and you extend your legs and you're coming into the plank and you still hold hollow hold here, so pulling the belly in and then drop the knees and come all the way down. Exhale. So for the first one, let's bring palm on the top of the palm and the forehead down to the floor. Split your legs just a little bit, not very wide, probably not on the corners of the mat, just a hip distance. And now from here, point your toes, engage your legs, and lift your straight legs off the floor. So you should feel how your knees and a little bit of the thighs comes off the floor. And as you lift in the legs, you're making sure that you're not lift the legs with your neck and not with your shoulders. You work with your glutes and hamstrings to lift the legs. Exhale, bring the legs down. Let's this time have the legs on the floor, but they work the same way. Press the top of the feet to the floor, and this time we're going to lift the palms and head off the floor in the same position with the forearms aligned here. And just keep lifting yourself, engage in a little bit more of extensors of the upper back. Exhale, come down. Take a breath and then bring the hands on the sides of the rib cage. Press yourself into the cat stretch first and then come into the downward dog. Take your time. It might be taking you several moves to get into downward dog. In downward dog, immediately set your pelvis in neutral position. Drop the head, exhale, and then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Bring your hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. So you're here in the hip hinge and then start bringing the body weight to the heels, lift your torso. So here you have a moment when your shoulders and knees align and then take your arms in front of you into the chair pose. Shoulders relax. And make sure that you're not extending here. Get your neutral position. So not rounded, you're not tucking the tailbone under, but you're in a neutral position and then press yourself up in standing. Again, glutes should be engaged here to maintain neutral position of the pelvis. Exhale, bring the arms on the sides of the hips. Great, we finished the first round. We're going to go next one a little bit faster. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, hinging halfway, neck is neutral. Touching the floor for support, stepping the left foot back into the lunge, picking up the resistance band, lifting the torso up, using the back leg for support. This time taking the a band over the head and stretching it a little bit. So I'm showing here, you're bending maybe elbows a little bit again, using a little bit of your biceps here to stretch. And as you stretch, make sure that again, you use your core to stabilize yourself here. On exhale, release the band and step into the downward dog. Exhale. On inhale, flow into plank, and remember how we just practiced the previous set. We tuck the tailbone under. It's like pulling the belly in. Just think of the hollow hold that we practiced. Drop the knees down to the floor and come all the way down. Exhale. This time hands are on traditional position for the cobra on the sides of the rib cage. Point the toes, lift the torso up. Make sure you're not overworking with your neck. Neck is neutral, shoulders back. You feel like your hands are very lightly touching the mat. Chin to the chest. Exhale, round into the calf stretch. Tuck your toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Taking the breath here, then stepping the right foot close to the midline. Stepping the left foot forward into lunge, picking up the band. Lifting yourself up, lifting the band overhead, and just slightly stretching it. Very, very lightly. Feeling a bit of engagement of the upper back. And here, making sure you're not collapsing to the back. Your front strings, imaginary strings here are really tight. On exhale, bring the band down to the floor, step into downward dog. Exhale. On exhale, flow into plank. Just focus on pressing the floor, resisting to the gravity from the front of the body, then drop the knees and come all the way down. Exhale. Hands on the sides of the rib cage again. Point the toes, inhale, lift to the chest off the floor. Very light touch, almost not need the arms. All work is the posterior chain muscles. Press the floor, chin to the chest, round the spine. Exhale, come into the downward dog. And then this downward dog, let's hold here a little bit longer, allowing some traction of the spine, using the arm strength to press your hips up and back, and lowering your heels maybe to add some stretch. On next inhale, look forward, walk to the front of the mat. Bring your hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. Maintain neutral position, so no too much of the lifting of the tailbone, and then come into the chair pose. So there's a point when your shoulders and knees align. Hold here, engage in the abdomen. So get in the neutral here position. Nice hinge, and then press from the heels up into standing. Exhale, bring the arms on the sides of the hips, taking the breath. So let us pick up the band, or it could be strap as well, and step into the triangle legs distance. Take your resistance band behind the shoulder blades, and it doesn't need to be a very high resistance. You feel you stretching that, but it's not crazy. And let's turn the right foot out and left foot in. So coming into the triangle leg here, and then start moving the left hip out, and use this band for the reference that you have your arms aligned, and just stop probably halfway today. So you might not reach to the shin, halfway today, and work on by pressing the hips out and going with the right shoulder away. So you would like to have both sides of the torso aligned, so not letting the left rib cage to pop up toward the ceiling. So that's working here, pulling the belly in, so working more on the core strength here in the side bend basically. And come all the way up. Release your arms for a moment. Reset your hands. Take your left foot out, right foot in, then set the arms behind the back. So start the movement with the hips. It's like pulling the left hip in, ascending the right hip out, going with the left shoulder, and use this band touching your shoulder blades. Stretch it here, and think more of lengthening of the torso rather than reaching down to your leg. And feel center is here. So we also have a tendency to extend through the lower back a lot. And come all the way up and release. So let us now get it a little bit different. So come to the right foot out, and I would like you to have a block. Yeah, so most of us will need a block. So bring the block here. So have the band, so you already know how to fold. So get your hips toward the left, and this time you just the tip of the fingers touching the block, and then you stretch the left arm up and use this reference of the band touching your left shoulder blade. So see if you can tell, yes, I'm here with the torso parallel to others imaginary plane here. And as you stretch a little bit, feel how your center is in your mid torso. And then exhale, come up. You can release the band. We'll turn the right foot in, left foot out, bringing the block inside the left foot. Stretching the band behind the shoulder blades, move the hips out, and then just tip of the fingers touching the block. And you're using the band. This is your reference that your arms are on one line. And you have a little bit of resistance here. Continue to work with your hips. So you would like to have your legs in this pyramid pose. And hold. And then lift yourself up. Exhale. Let's release the band. Put it away, but use the block. Turn again toward the right. And this time bend your right knee. So we're going to practice the extended triangle without the band, but I want you to imagine this resistance. So from the right hip, you lowering the torso toward the right knee and bring the tip of the fingers to the block. Take your left arm up, and as you are reaching with the arms to the both direction, feel the energy in your arms, but get this energy again from the center, from your core center here. Hold, relax your left shoulder, reach up, go with the crown of the head away from the left heel. So lengthening here. Very good. Release your left hand and pick up the block. Bring your right knee into straight position. Turn the right foot in. Turn the left foot out. Bend the left knee. Bring the block here. And then from the left hip crease, just lower yourself down. Take your right arm up and hold the extended triangle. So chest is open. So because we just used the resistance band, I want you to feel that there's energy in your arms. You're not just having your relaxed arms, reaching up and down here, and feeling the center. The center of the gravity is in the core center. Exhale, release your right hand and turn your toes in. Bring the block in front, and then just fold, maybe using the block to support your forehead. Just allow the spine to rest here in a symmetrical position, in symmetrical fold forward, and taking the breath. Exhale. Let's now turn the heels in. So coming into sumo squat. So getting the heels in the wide leg position. Ideally, you should have your knee above the heel. So your heels are not closer to the knees. Open your hips and let's come into squat. So in this squat, because some of us will have some hip mobility limitation, we again love to compensate in the lower back. So get yourself in neutral position here. And just to help you to find this neutral position, you're holding the block in front of you. So allow yourself to control your knees. So your knees are not falling in. You're trying to send your knees out and sit low. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up, exhale. Toes, heels, and come into the standing. So let's have a moment in standing position. Maybe with the closed eyes, just allow yourself to rest a little bit. And use every time when we come into standing position for the ability to check if you have awareness of the pelvis alignment. We'll pick up the band again, and this time we'll step with the right foot on the band. So for this one, you should have a very long band. If your band is short, you might have a little bit of a difficulty to do this. And then you just stretch the band up with the right arm. And when you stretch the arm, make sure that you're not collapsing to the left. So have your feet grounded equally. And as you stretch, think of energy coming from the waist area rather than from your shoulder. So get your shoulder blade down here. So everything is aligned. Your four corners all aligned. And just stretch. And now start bringing the body weight to the right foot and lift your left foot off the floor. And maybe lean a little bit to the right, but keep holding yourself from here. So no extension, no release, trying to be one straight line, just a little bit of a stretch. So your left shoulder should be lifted here. Maybe we have a little bit of a leaning. And let's release. So practicing that on the other side. Stepping with the left foot. So first you grounded and then stretching the left arm up, making sure the left shoulder blade is down. So finding the energy to resist to the band from the side abdomen muscle rather than lifting the shoulder. And then after you set yourself here, start bringing the body weight to the left leg and lift the right foot and just lean a little bit. Just a little bit to the left. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's release. Shake your legs. Next one, again, it has to be a pretty long band, otherwise you might have a bit of their trouble here. So we're now having the band behind, and you step in the left foot to the band, holding the band with the hands facing the thumb facing forward, and start bringing the body weight to the right foot, taking the left leg back and flex the foot. So here you start already feeling some resistance, right? So you're not pulling the band, you're just having the hands on the sides of the hips, but you feel that you're pressing your left foot into the band. And then as you lift in the leg, you're still feeling this pressure. You're just holding, arms are pretty relaxed. You're working with your back leg to lift it, and for the balancing, you lowering your torso. The band is also good reference for you if you have your left hip lifted, so your hips should be just in between your resistance band. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start lifting your torso and lower your legs. Exhale, shake your standing leg, and let's go to the other side. So bring your right foot inside. And again, so when you start lifting the leg, you feel a bit of a resistance, not crazy. Hips are square, soft standing knee, lifting the leg, lowering. And you're working with a neutral spine, so you're not here in extension, you're neutral, your abdomen is working, and you're just holding the hands on the sides of the thigh or hips, and continue to work with the back leg, pressing against, and having the hips square, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You release the leg. Let us put the band in front. Come to the front of the mat and close your eyes. You should have a lot of awareness right now of the posterior chain. It's like now solid support of the hamstring, glutes, the back muscles to support the body. Keeping chest open, you should feel also the side of the body like framing the position, framing the posture. And we'll go to traditional self-salutation without any props. With inhale, lift the arms up. Bring palms together, hinge into the half fold, maintaining neutral spine. Touching the floor, stepping the left foot back, strong that leg, and lifting the arms over ahead. So now you don't have resistance band, but I want you to imagine that you're actually working with your arms. Keep the whole body really strong. So isometric strength here. Pressing the knee forward, pressing the heel back, maintaining those frontal strings really tight, maintaining the arms strong. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor and slide your right leg back into plank. Push the floor, hold the plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down to the floor. Exhale, come down. Have the hands on the sides of the rib cage, strong legs. Inhale, lift the chest up and then tuck your toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Long spine. Taking another exhale before you finding your left foot stepping forward and lifting the torso up, and you're already taking the arms up into the warrior one. So front knee pressed forward, back heel pressed back. Strong abdomen muscles to support this light extension of the lower back. Arms are strong. On exhale, bring the hands down to the floor. Slide your left foot back into plank. Push the floor. Remember, hollow hold. That's what you want to feel in your lower back. Drop the knees. Exhale, come down. Hands on the sides of the rib cage, shoulders back, strong legs. Inhale, lift the chest up. And then exhale, press yourself into the child pose. You might bring the arms on the sides of the hips. Exhale. And then bring the hands on the floor. Lift the chest off the floor and just have your band for the boat pose today. So let's practice the boat pose with the band. So bring your knees 90 degrees and make sure that you're not bending your elbows here. So hold the band, maintaining the straight wrists and straight elbows. And then lean back. So your heels are still on the floor. When you're leaning back, you start feeling that you are stretching the band a little bit. So just lean back, roll the shoulders back. So you are in a 45-degree leaning back, and then lift your heels off the floor. So your elbows are straight, keep chest open. Think that you pressing the chest up toward the ceiling. Hold here. Relax shoulders and smile. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rest. Exhale, so maybe rounding the spine. So when you're holding your boat pose, make sure that you're not tensing the lower back. It shouldn't be extended and it shouldn't be rounded. Just try to find your hip flexors here, the connection to your hips engaged to maintain neutral spine. Let's go back in the same position. So lean back and lift your heels. And now from here, keeping your elbows straight, press the heels up and keep pulling the chest. So don't pull your band. Let your chest come up, like you're resisting with the chest to the band. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend your knees and bring the heels down to the floor. Exhale. So for the next one, if you're ready to let the band go, let the band go. But we're gonna build it with the band first. So lean back, keep chest open, shoulders relaxed, lift your heels, then press your legs up. Feel how you're coming with the chest forward, and then just release the band and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the soles of the feet together, just round and relax. Release, maybe you feel some tension in the neck accumulated here. Just get the rest. And then lift your chest up and extend your left leg. Bring your right foot inside the left thigh. Get yourself really tall. Just work on external rotation of the right thigh. And let us come into very passive fold. So keeping the foot flexed, so toe is up toward the ceiling. Very passive, so you're not reaching to your toe. You're just having the hands on the side. And exhale here. You might move the head from side to side, maybe finding some tightness, traveling from the neck to the bottom of trapezius. So see if that feels. With the time, you might want to walk your hands a little bit forward toward the heels, but still keeping it very passive. And we'll have here 5 more exhales. And then lift the torso up. And we'll change. So extend your right leg, bend your left knee, foot touching the inner thigh. Start with a straight spine, hinging from the hips, folding forward. So make sure that you're not allowing the toe to fall out. Get your alignment for the hamstring. That's going to be more effective hamstring stretch here. And a very passive fold. And let's very slowly come up. And this time you extend your left leg first and then bend your right knee and bring the right ankle on the top of the knee, keeping it flexed, and then bring the hands behind and bend your left knee. So we'll just have a glute stretch, not lying on the floor but in seated position. So make sure the ankle is actively flexed and try not to be rounded. So with your back, but use your arms to press yourself forward as much as you can. And keep the right knee traveling away from the hips. You feel some hip opening, some glute stretch. Just work here for a couple of exhales. Then maybe release a little bit with your arms, so just lean back to have a space to bend your left knee and bring your ankle down to the floor. Your right foot will be still across the knee, and then just adjust the position to be able to interlace the hands on the top of the right knee and sit tall. So I'll be here, you would be in this position. And here you're trying to drop the right hip down as much as possible. So you're going to be feeling more stretch in the glute, and then bring the right arm behind. Use the left arm to hug the knee and twist. And as you twist, make sure that you keep your tall spine, twisting upper body around the hips. And as you twist, because of this position of the legs today, think of dropping the right hip even more. And let's release. So let us build this on the other side. So extend your right leg, bend your left knee, bring the ankle on the top of the left thigh, bring the hands behind. Bend the right knee and use your arms to push yourself forward. Sometimes it feels like you want to lift your hips and drop it back down to find the position, keeping the left foot actively flexed to lock the left knee for security, and just work on the opening of the left hip. All the tissues stretch around the left hip. Focus on exhalation. Then maybe release it by leaning back down a little bit. Bring your right ankle to the floor. Bring your left foot down. Just readjust yourself. I'm turning to the camera so you feel the position here. I'm trying to drop the left hip as low as you can. Hug your left knee. Use the left arm for support. Twist to the left. Working toward dropping the left hip down. So it's like you want to stretch this left thigh from the hip to the knee. And let's release. So this time we'll bring both legs in front and send your seat bones back. Taking the arms overhead or maybe behind the head, whatever works better for you, and just press the chest forward. So avoid rounding in the upper back. Maybe there's no much of the movement of the chest forward, but feel like you're opening the mid back, a lot of the active stretch for the back muscles here. Then release the arms to the sides of the thighs, and here's a passive stretch. You might relax your legs a little bit. You might feel like the toes falling apart, maybe even taking the palms up toward the ceiling. And just drop and the passive stretch. You should feel the stretch from the heels, calves, hamstrings, and then all the back muscles add to the crown of the head, including the neck. Maybe discovering some tight spots. I'm pretty sure you will. And then let's very slowly come up. And we're finding, again, the supine position. So coming on the back. This time I will right away extend the legs and take the arms overhead to practice Bandhanasana, to create a bit of a stretch for the sides of the body. So walk your heels to the left corner of the mat and move your shoulders and head to the left top corner of the mat. Maybe you're holding the right wrist with the left hand. Maybe you're crossing the right ankle on the top of the left. But keep grounding your right shoulder and right hip here. Feel some stretch on the intercostal muscles on the side. Feel more of a passive stretch with a control alignment. And then bring the head and shoulders back to the center. Bring your heels back to the center. Walk your heels to the right. Walk your head and shoulders to the right. Maybe holding the left wrist. Maybe crossing the left ankle on the top of the right. Keeping the left shoulder, left hip grounded. Then release your left wrist. Bring your heels back to the center. Maybe start with the bent knees and then reach to the block and lift your hips with the block, making sure the block is under the base of the spine, under the sacrum, not under the waist area. And let's lift the legs up for inversion. Having the arms resting on the side. You can have your legs relaxed. You can even have a little bit of a shake or a little bit of a movements for your legs if you love it. Definitely a good idea to feel their mobility of the ankles, small joints that actually are very important. The ankles are holding the whole body weight, and we should work on the mobility and the strength of the ankles that we usually do, and maybe we'll do it next class as we didn't do it for a long time. And also you have here the chance to just pay attention to your knees and notice how your knees feels, what is the range of the flexion that you have in your knees. And also a great thing, you might even shake your thighs and just find how those big muscles, quads, hamstrings, glutes, actually support their attachment of the thigh bone to hip joint. So just feel how the bone is lightly moving in the hip joint. So all that while we are in inverted position, we paying attention, just giving some love to our lower body joints. And then let us just bring the feet down to the floor, remove the block. If you feel after this elevation of the hips you want to get a little bit of a spinal flexion, you can hug your knee and press them toward the chest, and then just allow yourself to extend the legs and take arms away. So use as much space as you have. Arms wide, palms facing the ceiling. Keep your eyes closed. Maybe take a couple of long exhales to just calm this area of the torso. Allow everything just collapse to the mat and enjoy your Shavasana. The time of the practice when you don't need to do, hold, think, engage, but Shavasana where you would like just to be. Then allow gentle moves, fingers, toes, wrist, ankles. Bend your knees, maybe rock from side to side. When you're ready, roll to one side and bring yourself into seated position. Could be cross-legged, could be any other position of your choice. Realign your spine to be tall, maybe using the hands against the knees to start with. And when you're ready, bring the hands in front of the heart. Taking a moment here to admit the end of the practice. Hopefully feel yourself strong, balanced, but at the same time grounded and with a calm and focused mind. Take any other very personal benefits of this practice to be a guide for the rest of the day. Namaste.